What's up, guys? It's your boy Nakasuchi, and I'm going to do another episode of Discussions. I'm really wore out from Rage Week. I wanted to take a week off, so I'm going to do this. It's really easy for me to make this, and I want to cover a lot of topics. And this is a way for me to talk to you guys, not make my videos where I'm raging on shit. Just have a conversation with you. And today I'm going to be talking a lot of different things. We're going to try to make this a long conversation, so bear with me. And I'm going to tell you right quick what the topics are going to be. We're going to talk about why is cursing considered profane. And we're going to talk about why do I do what I do here on The Raging Atheist. And we're also going to talk about, if we get to it, how I wish we worshiped the Norse gods. Like, I almost wish I could believe in the Norse gods, and we're going to discuss that. But we're also going to do the introduction for the Heathens Before Me, and that's going to be my series on the history of atheism and free thought. And I've been planning on trying to do a documentary style series, and I just don't think that I have the programming for that yet. I've been tossing around a lot of different ideas, so I really want to include this introduction that I wrote here in this discussion, and then I'm going to just make videos like I make, but they're going to be historical in nature, and we're going to talk and have a deep discussion about how long atheism has been around, how long free thinking has been around. And by free thinking, my definition of free thinking is people that think against or outside the box placed upon them by the religious institutions that have run this world for thousands upon thousands of years. That is my personal definition of free thinking, and we're going to discuss that. We're going to do the introduction to that. First, I want to do some quick announcements. I did a Twitter change. I didn't really like the Raging Athei, so I changed it back to my original. I changed it a little bit. It's The Raging Atheist at Nakasuchi, Nokasuchi. Matt Powell has agreed to a meeting. We're going to have our debate the first week of August in Grand Ledge, Michigan. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm preparing for that right now. I'm coming up with questions. I don't want to call it a debate because I'm not looking to debate Matt Powell, but I want to ask him questions, and I want him to ask me questions. First, I'm going to start with my introduction to the Heathens Before Me. You know, the fact that I can have this channel, say the things I say, is because plenty of brilliant people came before me. A lot of these people gave their lives so that today I and people like me, people like the Amazing Atheist, Cult of Dusty, Essence of Thought, people like us, we can say the things that we say today because people died. And there's a history. And there's a history that doesn't get spoken about because atheists have always been considered on the fringe. Even though some of the greatest thinkers in the history of our world has been atheists, you don't hear that about them because society knows that that would stain their image. And I find that sad, and I really wanted to look into the history of people like me. And, you know, I went into it with the notion that this was relatively a new thing. You know, I'd always heard, and I was thinking of new atheism, but I'd always heard about the story of the city on the coast that everybody was at prayer and a tsunami hit, and it killed everybody that was in the churches because the way the churches were structured, they were the first to tumble, so they tumbled in on everybody that was at church. You know, and then everybody that was out in the fields working or doing whatever they were doing, for some reason they weren't at church. And this was one of the most religious cities in the world. I can't think of the name of the city, but this is the birth of new atheism in the world. You know, the people came and they're like, oh my God, they witnessed all this death, and then the aftershock hit, and the rest of them died. And that was the birth of new atheism, because it begged the question that these people were at worshiping God. Why would God allow nature, his nature, to kill all of his people? And it birthed free thinking once again. But I was wrong, because free thinking goes far, far back into the antiquities of time. And I'm going to attempt over the course of the next few months to lay out a history for you. My constant viewer, the people that are constantly in touch with me, because I don't expect that these videos are going to draw in new subscribers. They're going to speak to the people, to the 150 to 200 of you that watch me on a daily basis, and that number grows. And we're going to talk about the numbers, and we're going to also talk about Rage Week in this discussion, because my numbers have dwindled, and I'm going to be honest about that, and I'm going to talk about why I think they're dwindling. And I think that it's on me. But I'm getting sidetracked. You know, we're going to talk about free thinkers like us and how easy it is to forget the blood spilled before us. You know, we sit in our comfortable homes and we forget that there was blood spilled so I could sit here and speak to you with this microphone and be untethered in what I say. You know, we are products of a secular society created by brilliant people, brave enough to lay out their ideals. And we're going to journey way back to prehistory, before there were any concept of gods at all. We'll attempt to empathize with human beings as it is nearly impossible to empathize with. These people weren't people like we are. These were the first Homo sapiens that history recorded, and they did not know gods. They were afraid of demons and witches, but they knew no gods. And that is the beginning of our species, is without God. But you're not taught that. You have to find that truth. They're not going to tell you that truth. They're going to tell you that this earth is only 6,000 years old and it was created by God. God was at the beginning, but he wasn't, and history shows it. We're going to look at some of the great ancient philosophers and the beginning of free thought. Before there was ever a Jesus of Nazareth or Muhammad, we're going to look at the philosophers. And you in Western civilization, you've heard of a couple of them. You've heard of, you know, Plato. Generally, if you've heard of a philosopher, unless you've delved deep, it was pretty much somebody that ascribed to the concepts of God, because Christianity, when it took over Western civilizations, closed those schools of philosophy, and they only allowed to survive texts that referenced God to back up the narrative that they were trying to put forth for society. We're going to explore the ideas of Epicurus and Democritus, especially. We're going to take a close look at these two ancient philosophers. We're going to talk about the fall of Rome and the 1,000-year domination of Christianity over Western society, a domination that is still ingrained in the DNA of the secular societies we find ourselves living in today. We're going to explore the rise of science and the church's persecution of that science. We're going to explore the reformation of the Christian church itself and look at how that has brought us into what we know as Christianity and fundamental Christianity today. We're going to look at Baron de Halbach, who wrote the first atheist book ever written in human history. We're going to look at the writings of Thomas Paine and how an English atheist helped create the United States of America. And I'm not going to forget Darwin, who dealt the death blow to religious theology, or Freud, who inadvertently prolonged religion's total death even though he was an atheist himself. And we'll end with myself and people like me, the anti-theist, a natural evolution of the atheist ideology. So I'm going to ask you guys over the course of the next few months, those my faithful viewers, you know, I'm picking up subs, but there's, like I said, 150 to 200 of you guys that watch every video. You comment, we have discussions. I feel like I'm getting to know you guys as you're getting to know me, and I'm going to ask you in particular to watch these videos and learn your history, because it is a grand and it's a glorious history, and you should know it. You should know yourself, and you should know for the people that fought for your ability to speak your ideals. Alright, the next topic is curse words. I don't understand why they're fucking profane. I just don't get it. Why are curse words considered profanity? Now, everyone uses them. Almost everyone. Almost everyone cusses on, like, give it 5 minutes and you're going to say fuck. I mean, that's just common language today. It's not profane, it's an adjective. It's a word of description, and it's beyond a word of description. It's going to emphasize mood. It's going to emphasize what the point you're trying to make. Being profane is not saying fuck you. This is being expressive. Being profane is raping a kid, taking delight in horrible acts, That is being profane. It's not saying you're a motherfucker or shut up dickhead. That's not being profane. That is expressing yourself. And I just don't get, you know, why we allow the smallest segment of society to make us feel guilty for the way we speak. You know, and it's not like even Jesus Christ didn't curse. You know, he wasn't going around dropping F-bombs in Israel, but they didn't have F-bombs in Israel. It was 2,000 years ago. They spoke differently. He said things like, "Get away from me, devil," which is basically saying, "Bitch, get away from me." You know, he said things like, "Don't be a blasphemer," which is basically saying, "Don't be a motherfucker." So, I mean, it's not like he was saying, or the Bible was even inferring when it says, "Do not use profanity," that they were even speaking about curse words. And let's talk about that term, curse words. How does a word become a curse? Are you cursed for using it? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Scientific studies show that people that do curse are more intelligent than people that don't curse. So I don't get how we can consider something that is a mere adjective, a mere word that has no power outside of the power that you give it, and consider that profane. Now, some words are profane. Don't get me wrong. And I know I just totally blew away everything I just said. But hear me out. Some words do have generational meanings. And of course, I'm referring to racial slurs. You know, if you drop the N-word, that to me is being profane. Especially if you're surrounded by a group of black people. You deserve what you get. You deserve what you get. That's being profane. That is taking delight in a horrible act and making somebody feel absolutely horrible. I'm not saying make people feel horrible, but I am saying don't be afraid to express yourself. And don't feel shame because a small segment of the population is going to try to make you feel bad for that. Just because their belief systems tell them, for some odd reason, not to say these words. You know, they can make any interpretation they want of words written 2,000 years ago and interpreted numerous times. But, you know, they don't follow it. So the shit that they do follow, they're following for societal standards. They're following it so their neighbor doesn't look down upon them. Not because they truly believe it. I mean, you know, if Christians followed the Bible, they'd all be smoking weed. Genesis 1:29, I give all herbs bearing seed to man, to him it shall be his meat, which means you ingest it. And yet, a large chunk of that community is going to be against that just because it's a societal thing. They think that they need to be pure and clean and present a pure, clean image to society because that makes them feel better than everybody else. It's just my take on it. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think upon it. Next topic is why I do what I do here on The Raging Atheist. Somebody posed this question to me, and when people are being trolls, I troll them back. But if you're going to be a Christian and you're going to come and bear watching me, it can't be easy. And then you're going to ask a genuine question. I'm going to respond to you in a genuine way. And we had a fairly decent conversation. He asked me, you know, he just wanted to understand why I do what I do. And by the end of that conversation, even though he was a Christian, and even though he doesn't agree with any of the things that I say, he did tell me that he could respect he could respect what I'm doing, and that he feels like I'm just standing up for my cause. You know, more people need to be like this guy. I need to be more like this guy. But I want to talk about why I do it. You know, for a long time, I didn't. And for a long time, I walked around in the shadows, and I was afraid to tell anybody my truth outside of my mother. And, you know, people pass away. And I didn't really have anybody to talk to anymore. And I was doing YouTube. I was doing it politically, and it wasn't going anywhere. And even though I know politics, it's not. I think it wasn't going anywhere because I wasn't very enthusiastic about it, because it's not what I really wanted to be talking about. I wanted to be talking about religion. So that's one of the reasons why I first made The Raging Atheist, and I was doing both at the same time. But I wrote down some reasons, and it's basically some of the reasons I gave the guy during this conversation, guy or girl. It's hard to tell on YouTube what you are sometimes. And I'm getting so many comments that it's really hard to remember unless you're a constant commenter. It's hard for me to remember your name unless I'm looking at the comment. But I wrote some things down. Despite the Christian right's insistence on a war on Christianity, there is and always has been a war waged by the religious institutions against science, free thought, and yes, atheism. Now, everything we do here in America has been influenced in some way or another by Christianity. We can't have any political conversation without Jesus coming into it. Now, when YouTube came out, we had Raging Atheist. But the Amazing Atheist went right for a while, and Cult of Dusty went to Denver. And there was a void, and that void wasn't filled in kind. It was filled by people that were trying to be nice, trying to give intelligent responses, and these are great atheists. I'm speaking of people like Essence of Thought, a lot more great atheists that Cosmic Skeptic. These are great atheists, but they try to go about it in a nice way. But we didn't have any more Raging Atheists, and I felt that void. I felt that void every day. I didn't have the Amazing Atheist talking about the things I wanted to hear anymore. Not like I did back when he was left. Now, miraculously, he's come back to the left. It didn't take the Amazing Atheist long to figure out that he was duped, I think, into this anti-SJW bullshit. But thankfully he's back, but there was a void, and I decided to fill that void, and it's growing, and more people, I don't have the advertising that other people have. It's growing slowly, but more and more people, more and more atheists stumble upon me every single day. They're thanking me for what I'm doing, and I'm speaking to them. I'm also speaking against the religious folks that come to my page. So we have plenty of great atheist YouTubers. I mentioned them: Cosmic Skeptic, Hith, Essence of Thought. And while they provide great anti-theist content, they go about it in an educated and polite way. I yearn personally for someone to come fill this vacuum that was created, when Cult of Dusty went to Denver and got crazy, just doing drugs all the time, and stopped making videos. The Amazing Atheist went TJ Kirk and went right. There was a void, and I felt it. We need somebody speaking to that anger we feel. We need to know that we're not alone in that anger. That's a very important factor. Most of us are pretty much standing alone in this world. We don't have a support system of people that share our ideology. A lot of atheists commit suicide. We need people speaking to us, validating us. It's part of human nature. And I just got tired of waiting for somebody to do it, so I started to do it myself. And it's growing. It's getting bigger. And, I'm thankful to every single one of you guys that watch my videos, because I put a lot of time into it. I make my daughter wear her headphones. Right now she's wearing her headphones, so she can't hear what I'm saying to you, even though these discussion videos aren't as bad as my normal videos. I don't want her influenced by my ideology. I want her to develop her own. And there's another reason. I got tired of writing. I'd always been a writer, and I got tired of failing at that. I feel like I'm a very good writer. I didn't have ambition for a while, and when I finally got the damn ambition and tried to do it, the book industry is dying, and if you're not publishing online, you're not publishing. And I didn't want to settle, and I need to, but I didn't want to. So I started doing something different. I started talking, and I've always been a quiet person, but once you get me talking, it's hard to shut me up. That's just the way I am. I know too much. It's the bane of my existence. What else do I got here? Alright, one last topic, I think, and then we're gonna call it good for this episode. And I wanted to do an easy video, and I don't want to spend an hour and a half tomorrow editing it. My daughter's hungry, so I'm gonna take her and get her some chips or something. Just one more topic for you guys, a little fun one. I often get asked, like, as an atheist, what if I'm wrong? You know, if I'm wrong, you know how I want to be wrong? I don't want to be wrong that it's Jesus. I don't want that douchebag God. You know, if I could worship any gods, you know, that ever existed, I would want to worship the Norse gods. And I wish society worshipped the Norse gods. I probably wouldn't talk so much shit, and I'd probably be a lot more accepted in the society. You know, and I don't want to talk smack about Marvel, because I actually think that Marvel did a fairly decent job depicting Thor and Loki. But I want you guys to really go back and study Norse mythology. I did it recently. When I first started my new job, I listened to audiobooks when I work, and one of the first audiobooks I listened to was a complete history of Norse mythology, and it was brilliant. I can't remember the author, but it was like a 9-hour long audiobook. And it was just stories about, you know, Odin and mainly Thor. I mean, Thor was the main figure, even though Odin was the main god, the head honcho. Most of the stories were about Thor and Loki was probably my personal favorite. I think that Marvel does a decent job. Loki is neither good nor evil. Marvel tried to paint him as evil, and then he became good, and now we're not really sure what he is. And that's more this stage now. We're not really sure what he is. That's Loki from Norse mythology, and I loved Loki. And Loki had a chip on his shoulder the whole time. You know, Thor was out saving all, you know, the universe, because you know, just like in Marvel, they're at the Nexus and they can pretty much go wherever they want. And you know, so while Thor's out getting all the glory, you know, Loki is a sidekick doing pretty much a lot of the dirty work, because in Norse mythology, Thor is an idiot. He's stupid as hell. Loki is brilliant and is mischievous, and he brings about the end times inadvertently, just Loki being Loki. One of my favorite stories about the Norse gods was that they weren't really immortal. They were only immortal because they ate certain apples. And one time, Loki thought it would be a hilarious joke to take those apples and not allow the gods to eat them. And the gods grew old and almost died before they figured out that it was Loki the whole damn time. I love Loki. And you know, I truly believe that yes, the Viking cultures were brutal. You know, they were raping and plundering and not really. I'm not saying that our society should go back to that. I'm saying that I wish we could have their religion in our modern society. I think that society would probably be better for it, as long as we're not, you know, raping and murdering and plundering trying to get to Asgard. So just a little fun way to end the episode. I hope you guys enjoy that. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I promise you next week I'll be back at it with a real video. I told you guys we're going to talk about Rage Week. So we're going to talk about Rage Week real quick and where we are going next week. We're going to start finding new cult bunnies. I think one of the reasons why I'm having troubles the last few weeks getting subs is I'm not talking about new people. I'm just doing the same old people. I need to bring in new blood, so I've been searching for those. I got a couple lined up, and I'm going to continue with that, and that should start bringing back, exposing me to more and more atheists, the people that are interested in, you know, it's funny because I think a good chunk of the people on YouTube watching religious content are atheists, and I'm reaching atheists by linking myself to some of these Christian figures. I think it was a brilliant philosophy considering I have no marketing money, and I'm going to continue to do so. You got to use what you have. You have to use the tools at your disposal. So, you know, there's that. Rage Week I think was good and bad. I know that I've had people surprise me in my personal life and tell me that they've been watching Rage Week and they loved it, but subs are down. There's no denying that. I went all year long with an amazing growth rate. I started the year pulling in about 2 subs a day, and that number got up to about 15 to 16 subs a day for a good couple months. And then just all of a sudden it stopped, and it stopped right around the beginning of Rage Week. And it was really weird because I lost like 4 or 5 subs, And I never lose that many. I'd lose like 1 sub, and I'd just put it off to the algorithm, you know, because the algorithm, you're going to lose some subs. But I lost like a lot of subs. And what I think happened was MMA fans realized that I'm hard-headed and I'm stubborn as hell, and I'm never going to stop making the videos as long as they're talking shit. So I think that they're just unsubscribed, so they're not talking smack to me anymore. And I think this is a new strategy. But guess what? I'm hard-headed and I'm stubborn, and I'm going to keep making them. So they're not going to win. But, you know, that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm not bringing in new subs, and that's ultimately on the creator. This is my thing. I can't blame anybody else. I can't blame YouTube. I can't blame the algorithm. You know, I was growing and now I'm not, and I think it's because my content is getting a bit stale. Now, I know you guys are telling me that you love the content, and I get told that all the time, but it can't continue to be the same content. I've got to be new. I've got to be ingenuitive. I got to be creative, and I'm thinking about different things to try to bring in new subs, because the ultimate thing, the reason I'm doing this is to reach as many people as possible. Ultimately, I want to do this full time, and I can't do this full time with a few thousand subs, so I really need to amp it up. This is pretty much my plan. You know, I want to work and I need a side hustle. This is the side hustle. Hopefully, we will continue to grow. And don't take that wrong. The haters are going to see he's just putting on an act. No, this is me. This is me. I mean, people in my life will tell you that they don't like me much because this is me. This is who I am. I can't help it. And I think that's why I'm drawing for so long the people that I was. Because there's a lot of us out there. And I just got to reach you. So as always, I'm your boy Nakasuchi. This is The Raging Atheist. If you like my videos, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share me on your social media, comment in the comments section below. I'll see you soon.